Hey everybody, and welcome to another Cricut craft tutorial. Before we get started, make sure you subscribe to my channel. It's super easy, just hit that big red subscribe button and it's totally free. I would love to have you as part of my crafty family here on YouTube, and we have so many amazing, cool things coming out this year. I'm so excited. We have so many great Christmas crafts and gift ideas coming up. So in today's video, I'm going to show you how to use some of that SVG that I showed you with the filling of the text and how to fill in your acrylics. I've made two different ones. I have one that's more like a general one, and then I have a Christmas one. And what I love about these is you can make a bunch of different ones and they can switch them out for each season. You can do them for birthdays. Lots of really fun ideas with these. And you can get these cool LED bases. They have them in black, white, and then like a wood look, which is really cool. They do lots of different functions, and I'll link everything down below for these, but these make great gifts because, again, they can use them all the time. And it's just a simple piece of acrylic, and you can just slide it right into the base, and it's really, really fun. I'll give you guys a nice up-close look at these before we get started, but all you're going to need to do is head over to my website, CorinneBlackstone.com, and go under the free SVGs, and you'll find fill text and images, and you can click on that, and that's where you get the SVG from. Make sure to sign up for my newsletter while you're at my website because we're going to be doing a lot of fun stuff through the newsletter as well. Let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to show you guys what these look like. This is the one that I just did, and this was more my internet's fault than anything. It should say Christmas down here at the bottom, but my internet went out, and therefore my Cricut Maker stopped engraving, so don't blame the design or anything. That was just my internet's fault, but you guys can see how cool this looks all filled in. And this is one from Design Space, so this one's really easy. I just searched Christmas, and this one is the one I'm going to show you guys how to do in the video. And this design is from designbundles.com. I'll link the design below, but you get a ton of different designs with it. And this is the saw blade from 143 Vinyl. Again, I will link everything that you need to do these tutorials down below. To get the SVG for this, just go to CorinneBlackstone.com, and you're going to go over to the free SVGs and click where it says Fill Text and Pictures Cricut. You are going to scroll down here to the bottom and click where it says Download your free SVG here. It should ask you where you would like to save your SVG to, so I'm just going to save this to my Cricut folder and click Save. Once it's done that, you're going to open up the folder, which is a zipped folder, and they do have to be zipped in order for me to provide them this way. So what you'll do is, especially on my computer, it's pretty easy. It should be fairly similar on yours, but just open your zipped folder and click Extract All. You're going to click Browse, and then you're going to just figure out where you want to put it. I'll just put it in my Cricut folder and go ahead and click Extract. That's all you simply have to do. Now we can go over to Design Space and get everything loaded in. We are going to use one of the acrylic blanks from 143 Vinyl. So those are on their website, but they include the acrylic blank SVG. So what you can do is just go to acrylics, and all I do is I go to the LED bases because that's what we're using to engrave on. And you can find your little saw. And at the very bottom, you'll see where it says click here to access the download page for our SVG files that match our acrylic blanks. Go ahead and click that, and then you'll need to find the one that you're using. I'm using the LED saw blade. Go ahead and click on that and save it in whatever folder that you save to. I have an acrylic blanks folder that I'm going to save this to, and it isn't zipped or anything, so you don't have to do anything special with that. And we can just go right over to Cricut Design Space, click Upload, Upload Image, Browse, and then you're going to go into that folder that you saved it in. So I saved that into my acrylic blanks folder, and it's called the acrylic saw blade. Go ahead and open it and click Save. Now with this one, you don't want to resize it or anything like that. The next thing that you're going to want to load in is our lines from CorinneBlackstone.com, totally free SVG for you guys. That is linked in the description down below. We're going to go ahead and click Upload Image and Browse. And I have mine saved. It's in a zipped file, so you will need to unzip it when you use it, but it's just called Lines. Go ahead and click Save, and that's really, really easy. Next thing you'll do is upload the image that you want to use for your engraving. And for my engraving, I'm going to use one that I got from designbundles.com. I will also link this down below, And we are going to use the I Play with Saws, the one that says I love the smell of coffee and sawdust in the morning. So go ahead and upload that one. Again, it's an SVG, super easy. Just click save. Now what you can do is hold Control on your keyboard and select all 3 of those images because we need to put all 3 of those onto our canvas. Now we don't want to resize this one, the saw blade, because that one is already sized to what we need it to be for our design, for our actual saw blade. We won't be cutting that or anything, but we will be using it for sizing, but it's really important that you don't resize it. So I'm going to change the color on it just to make it easier to see when we do size the design. So this being a couple different pieces, I'm going to go ahead and weld this first because you can slice only 2 items. So if you have an item like this where it's multiple pieces, you want to make sure you weld it because we need to slice it out of our lines. So we're going to weld this first before we do anything else. Go ahead and click weld. Now go ahead and size it down to whatever size you want to make it for whatever you're making it for. And in this case, we're using this saw blade, so it does need to be sized down quite a bit. That looks like a pretty good size. So once you have the right size, you can honestly get rid of the saw blade. You no longer need it unless you really, really want to keep it for some reason, but you really don't. So you can either delete it or just hide it or just leave it. Next, we have our lines. So for this design, I'm going to go ahead and make these much bigger. Not like huge, but enough that I can see the lines. And then I'm just going to put this inside. Now, for this design, you can turn the lines if you want. You can really do it with any of the designs. But if you want to just give them a little turn, just depending on what you want it to look like. But I do find that turning those lines can really make a difference with what it looks like. So for this, to get it to look like it's filled in, what you'll need to do is select both the lines and the design and then click slice. It may take a moment to slice because it is a lot of pieces and it's going to look a little funny. You'll see like some white spots. Don't worry. What you're going to do is get rid of this big piece of your sliced lines. Then you're going to have 2 that look like the sliced lines here. And then sometimes you get these weird things. This doesn't matter as long as it's sliced out over here. So go ahead and get rid of the weird thing. And then just choose one of these. They're identical, so it doesn't matter which one you pick. I'm going to go ahead and hit delete. Now, we do have a slight issue right here where it kind of has a weird node, and some SVGs may do this to you, where it may have a strange spot where it didn't slice correctly. This is why I don't delete my saw blade, because I do need to make this big again, so I can kind of slice out that line. You can't contour it out because of the amount of lines there are. It would just be like next to impossible. So what I do is I'm going to open up a shape, and I'm going to just start with a square. I'm going to size it way down. And what I'm going to do is just get it so that it just covers up the very bottom of the A, just so it touches it just slightly, and the R. I don't want to slice any of the R or the A out. And select the box and the design and click slice. And then you can go ahead and delete everything right here. You're going to need another box again because I want to get rid of this little line. But that's one way to start doing it. And again, this doesn't happen with all SVGs, just some will have a little bit of an issue. So I just took the box, unlocked it, and then I turned it a little bit. And I'm going to go ahead and unlock this box so I can make it a little bit longer and like not quite as wide. And then I just want to size it down enough so that it's not covering any of the other letters, just covering that little extra line. And again, I'm just going to click on slice, and I'm going to get rid of those 2 little tiny lines and the little square. It's not perfect, but it's fine. Nobody will notice. So now what I'm going to do is just show my saw blade again and size this back down to the size that I want it for my saw blade. That looks pretty good. So now what we're going to do is you want to change the line type up at the top to engrave. So go ahead and click engrave. Now, if you are doing this with the Cricut Explorer, and you can do this with the Cricut Explorer, leave your line type as cut because the tool goes into your blade setting and then set it to the cardstock plus or heavy cardstock setting for it to engrave, and it will engrave this fine. But on the maker, you want to make sure that you set it to engrave. Now, when we go over to our Make It screen, you'll see how we have to line this up because we really can't line it up here. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and get rid of the saw blade. I'm just going to hide it, and I'm going to click Make It. Now, it's going to look like it's all black, but I promise it's not. It's the engraving. And you can actually just double check what you have it set to right next to your mat, right to the left here where it says Engrave. Now, I always use the center of my mat when I'm doing engravings. I find it easier for me to line things up. So the 6 and the 6 axis is what we're looking for. And we're just going to line this up till it's about center, or where we think about center is going to be on our design, which isn't super hard to figure out based on the grid. So I think that looks pretty well centered. Go ahead and click Continue. Now again, with your maker, it's going to bring up a different set of options as it will with your Explore Air 2. With the Explore Air, you're going to get all the materials. And like I said, I prefer to set it on a heavy cardstock setting for the Air or the Explore. And then for the maker, you can click Browse All Materials. And if you go down to the very bottom, it gives you Other, and choose Acrylic Thick 2mm. Go ahead and click Done. Now it shows you exactly what tip you need to load, which is our engraving tip, which is the number 41. And then it tells you just to load your mat. I'm going to show you guys how to set up your machine so that you can get the engraving to fill and look really, really good. Before you get ready to load your mat with this, you need to take the protective coating off one side. And you can choose either side with your saw blade. It's just a matter of which direction you want the little blades to go. So it's personal preference on that. But I'm going to go ahead and peel this off. I always use my pin pen, and I start down here where the little divot is that has the spot for your base, just in case I scratch it, because I'm really not good at getting this plastic off ever. And just go ahead and get that protective plastic off one side. You'll leave it on the other side for now. It just makes it easier. We are going to use a strong grip mat for this, so go ahead and grab one of those. So like I said, I always center mine with the little plus in the middle. I just find it easier. So I ignore the little base part, if that makes any sense. And I go and center it based off of the actual round portion. And again, I just sort of eyeball. If it's not perfect, it's fine. That looks pretty good. Now you'll want to hold this down with some extra tape. You can use painter's tape, you can use masking tape, washi tape, any of that type of stuff, but you definitely want to give it some extra help as far as staying put, because this is one of those items that if it moves, it's going to stop and you're going to have to start all over again, and you'll have to have a whole different sheet, and it's not good. So just take your time, make sure you tape it down. And the one thing I like about the saw blade is you've got a lot of options as where you can tape it, because you're not going to engrave on the little blade pieces. So I like to make sure to put like a good amount of tape across this, just so that it's really well held down. Because again, I don't want this to shift in any way while it's engraving. Now keep in mind, the Cricut can only engrave 2mm or less, because there is that silver bar and you can't really fit anything thicker under the bar. Believe me, I have tried. So just make sure you tape it, and I tape mine on all sides, and I just make sure that I really get that tape well down onto the strong grip mat. Once that is done, you want to make sure that you have moved your star wheels. I'll show you the star wheels. Your star wheels are the little white wheels that are typically spaced throughout. There are 4. I've moved both of mine off to the sides. It's really important that you do that. And then you want to unload your engraving tool, which for this one is the number 41. And it has the quick swap housing, and it has the little sharp metal tip. So I'm going to go ahead and open my slot B, take out my regular blade, and place in my engraving blade. Now this is going to take a while. I will speed this up, and I will let you guys know about how long it took to engrave this. didn't take too terribly long, about 30 minutes. So we're gonna go ahead and unload this. I'm gonna go ahead and close my machine. Now there is quite a bit of dust on it. I don't know how well you guys can see it, but there's a lot of dust from all the little lines. So what I like to do, let me slide this out of the way, is I will take either a piece of like washi tape or even the washi tape that's taping this down. Works really, really well because I don't like to blow it off because it ends up kind of getting everywhere and it's messy. So I just take a little piece of washi tape and I just kind of go all over it and get as much off as I can. You can use painter's tape again, masking tape, anything like that. Even like an old piece of transfer tape will work really well because it's super sticky. So I like keep random like little shapes of transfer tape around and you can just kind of use it, but you can see how much comes off. It's like a ton of dust. So I do that because I don't want to wipe it off because you don't want to scratch it. So I just sort of take it and just go across it like this. Then you can take it off of your mat, and then I'm going to put it into the LED base for you guys so that you can see what it looks like all lit up. But I'll take it off the mat really quick too so you guys can see it before we light it up. One thing I love about the washi tape is it comes off these stronger mats so easy. Even if you get like a little random piece that like maybe ripped off, comes right off, no problem. Super, super simple. But this is really important so that it doesn't move around on your mat. So let's go ahead and pop this off. And this should come off really, really easy off of your mat. Now, it's going to be a little frosted looking right now. But you guys see all those little lines? Look how cool. Yeah, it's really, really fun. So what we're going to do first before we do anything else, and before I get the base, because I want to show you guys, you want to make sure that you take off the other side of the protective coating. So just go ahead and again, with the pin pen or your nail, if you can do it that way, and just start peeling. And it's going to come right off, and it's going to take away that frosted look that you ended up with. And I do have a little piece of my hair stuck to it. It is very staticky, I will tell you that. So hopefully you guys can see that pretty well. I don't know, there's so much reflection. There we go. You can see if I turn it. But look at that, isn't that cool? I'm going to go ahead and put this in the LED base so you guys can see it. Here is the finished product. I think this came out really, really cool, and it's super easy to do. Again, you guys can find that SVG on my website at CorinneBlackstone.com. Totally free for you guys, and you just have to be able to slice your design. So remember, you can only slice 2 things, so you may need to weld words or your design, but once you do that, you can slice it out of all those lines and make these really cool designs. If you have any questions, please let me know in the comments down below. I'm always happy to answer those for you. Make sure you subscribe to my channel. I put out new videos on Wednesdays and Saturdays with the occasional bonus live video. I hope you guys have a wonderful day and happy crafting.